Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's going to be comparing the all-new Mazda CX-90 to the Kia Telluride. Before we get in this video though, a huge shout out and thank you to the Southtown Mazda here in Utah for giving me some time with this CX-90. I'm going to include a link to their inventory in the description down below so you can check out what they have currently. And then on a side note, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. Let's get into it. Starting with the Telluride, we have a naturally aspirated 3.8 liter V6 that goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy is 18 around town and then 24 on the highway, with power outputs being 291 horsepower and then 262 pound-feet of torque. Now, the Mazda has a turbocharged 3.3 liter inline 6 that goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy with this is 24 around town and then 28 on the highway, with power outputs being 280 horsepower and then 332 pound-feet of torque. Before we go to the front ends, I do want to mention, if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. So starting with the front end of the Telluride, it has this boxy kind of like off-roader type appearance. I mean, Kia did steal the designer from Range Rover, and this has a lot of Range Rover type vibes to it. I mean, look at how vertical that front end is, and then look at like the design with the headlights and then with the grille as well. Whereas with the CX-90, this has more of like a smooth luxury appearance to it. And I feel like the chrome trim really lends to that kind of like luxury appearance, and then especially the headlight design as well. It almost kind of gives me like Bentley type vibes. But anyways, let me know which front end you like more. Now, this Telluride has an off-road package on it, so tire and wheel setup is 245, 60, 18 in the front and in the rear as well. You guys can see again off-roader design with the wheels. You can get a more like street-oriented setup with the Telluride if you want. Now, the CX-90 on the other hand has a more street-oriented setup, so 275, 45, 21 on the front and over in the rear. And then you guys can see again with the wheel design, kind of looks more on the luxury side. And well, I suppose we'll zoom out and look at the side view of the CX-90. You guys can see you've got the unpainted fender flares, and then notice how that continues along the side with that little chrome strip. You do have some chrome trim around the windows as well. And again, that rounded off theme kind of continues here at the side. Now, the Telluride also has unpainted fender flares, but it has a boxier type design, and I realize the lighting in this shot is absolutely atrocious, but you guys can see there's a little bit of silver trim there too. Now, here are the key fobs for both of the vehicles. So we basically just have Mazda's standard key fob, and then we have Kia's new key fob here. And the thing that's interesting about Kia's new key fob is when you press the unlock button, yeah, this little logo illuminates on it. We'll see how long that lasts until it breaks. But regardless, pretty normal key fobs, kind of, right? Now, when it comes to cargo space, starting with the CX-90, you guys can see the space behind the third row. You can fold down the third row just with those straps right there. And then we do have some charging ports here in the back as well. And then this is automatic with the hatch, so you just press that and that will lower it down. Now, the Telluride has pretty much the exact same setup, and storage space looks to be pretty much identical. Got some charging port action as well. Notice with the Telluride though, we can fold down the second row with some buttons here in the rear, so I guess that's a big benefit. And then same thing here with the hatch. Now, when it comes to rear design, you guys can see again, everything's kind of rounded off with the CX-90, and look at like the taillight design and everything. They're very interesting. Whereas the Telluride again has that more upright, boxy appearance because, well, it's kind of trying to be a Range Rover. Now, in the second row of the CX-90, you guys can see legroom's really solid. Got this nice storage pocket, and then look at the appearance of the door panel. It's very nice looking. We also have some sunshades here for the rear passengers. We got our own climate zone here in the back, heated seats as well, and then headroom back here is also really good. Now, legroom here in the third row of the CX-90, pretty typical for the segment. We'll see if the Telluride feels smaller or about the same. But you got a USB port back here, and then headroom's really good. Also, last thing, look at the seats here in the back of the CX-90. They definitely have like a very nice luxurious appearance. So in the back of the Telluride, legroom frankly feels pretty much the same. We've got a little storage pocket back here, some cup holder action, charging ports, and then look at the door panel design here with the kind of two-tone coloration. Also got a sunshade here in the back as well. Then you guys can see headroom back here. And then we do have our own climate zone in the back, which is pretty sweet. And then you guys can see here with the seat design, I think that looks fantastic. And I almost forgot to mention, we have heated and cooled seats here for the second row. So legroom in the Telluride is pretty much the same. The seats are higher up, and so it makes it feel like there's a little bit more legroom, but it's about the same pretty much. And then you guys can see USB port right there, and then headroom back here also pretty much the same. Well, let's start her up. Ooh, that's cool. I like that animation. Anyways, front door panel here in the CX-90 is basically the same as the rear. Also, look at the contrast of stitching. I think that's pretty cool. And I do like the tactile feel of like the window controls and everything. And then the steering wheel in the CX-90 is very premium looking overall. And then you got practical controls like adaptive cruise control, for example. Really cool full digital gauge cluster here, and notice the cool animations when you change the drive modes. And it does change the gauge cluster, so if I pop into sport mode here, you guys can see that it gets all red and aggressive. Now, we do have a 360 camera system with this, as you can see, and then if I pop into drive, it'll do the front camera view. Now, the infotainment system, this is going to be interesting for some of you. So it's not touchscreen. Everything's controlled via dial. Some of you will love that. Some of you will be like, why is it not a touchscreen? But yeah, it's just like every other Mazda infotainment screen. I do like everything's soft touch here on the dash. It makes it feel more premium overall. And then kind of like the design with the vents also lends to that. Heated and cooled seats up front, heated steering wheel, dual zone climate. Got a little charging area here. And then this is the drive mode select. It feels very premium. I love the shifter. It also has like a premium feel to it as well. This does come with like hill descent control, which is pretty interesting. And then got that for the camera system. This is the control for the infotainment system. And look at this. The center console opens up both ways. Pretty cool. And then you got the nice trim all around. And the glove box, it's got like some of the softest felts in the car industry, I'd say. That's for sure. We do have a heads-up display in this, and then a full panoramic sunroof up top. Well, time to do the same in the Telluride here. Now that's cool with the startup animation. Anyways, door panel still looks pretty nice. I feel like the Mazda has like more nice material use, but I do like the coloration on this. The window controls, they look pretty cool. Anyways, with the steering wheel, I think this has a nice look to it. And then look at like the finish on the controls, that's nice as well. You've got stuff like adaptive cruise control. This doesn't have paddle shifters, but the Mazda does. And then you guys can see we've got this full digital gauge cluster. Just like the Mazda, when you change the drive modes, you guys can see, wait a second. There we go. It doesn't really do anything. It changes the drive mode stuff. I swear this one had animations, but I guess it doesn't. Anyways, aside from me forgetting the features on the car, apparently, 360 camera system, just like the Mazda. When I shift it into drive, it does the same thing with popping up the front camera. Now this one has a regular touchscreen, as you can see, so you don't have to basically use a little keypad for everything. I don't know why that just tried to do that, but anyways, pretty normal infotainment system, frankly. And then down below you got some analog controls for it, your dual zone climate controls, and then this, just like the Mazda, has heated and cooled seats up front. And then you guys can see our little charging area is what we'll call it. And then you have more of like a traditional shifter here. And it's got these grab handles, which is kind of funny. It says a center locker, which is interesting because, again, off-roading stuff. And you guys can see for like the parking sensors, the camera system, all that. And then, again, more of a normal center console, so it's like a regular lid. Oh, glove box is already open. Yeah, the felt's not as soft in this. I do like the trim though on the dash. I think it, again, has a premium look just like the Mazda. This one has a rear view camera mirror. And then premium headliner, it's kind of hard to see, but like you guys can see it's suede. And then you've got the sunroof up front, and then there's another sunroof in the back, so kind of a panoramic, but also like it just has two sunroofs instead of one big one. Now when it comes to pricing, both of these sticker for about $55,000, so I feel like that's as competitive as it gets when it comes to pricing. Well, let's talk about visibility before we set off. Here's visibility of the hood and hopefully you can see the heads-up display. Both mirrors, you do have blind spot monitoring. Good, the rest of the rear, and well, let's set off. Now, I do need to mention I am going to be using this particular driving video for my CX-90 versus Pilot, and then CX-90 versus Telluride video. So I'm just putting that out there. So if you watch one of the other videos and watch this, just skip past this driving portion, skip to the Telluride, or skip to the Pilot, depending on which video you're watching, because those driving impressions will be unique in those videos. Hopefully that makes sense. Anyways, talking about how the CX-90 performs. First off, ride quality. It's really good in the new CX-90. Another thing is this inline six is just super torquey. I think this is going to push other automakers to release a more, when I'd say it's like a more premium powertrain with their vehicles. I mean, you know, Toyota's gone for a turbocharged powertrain now with their new Highlander, but I mean, it's actually got similar power figures to this, but you know, I'd much rather have an inline six than a inline four cylinder, just because of how much stress the 4-cylinder is going to be under compared to this. This is going to be under a lot less stress. And I think that's why Mazda's been creeping up on reliability ratings and might surpass Toyota in the future. But yeah, just look at this, barely in it. And we're at 4,500 feet elevation here, so like, yeah, turbos are king up here, and this definitely shows that. We've got the CX-90 in the sport mode here, so we'll be able to get a proper acceleration is what we will call it. It's such a good engine. It just has like so much torque, and yeah, it's the performance is just, it's so astounding, honestly. Like down here we'll kind of show you guys, and it still handles like a Mazda. It's definitely heavier. Like, again, it's not like insanely fast, but when you compare it to other vehicles in the segment, it's so much better. Just the overall power band and the feel, everything here with the CX-90. So setting things up with the CX-90 drive, the powertrain is definitely like the high point of this vehicle. It also has a very nice looking interior, and you can tell with the exterior styling, again, they're kind of going for more of a luxury car appearance with it. And so yeah, I mean, this really does, it's got luxury car, I would say, like the driving feel, the ride comfort, the interior feel, and then the engine performance. Again, this is the base version of this inline six too. So yeah, super impressed with the CX-90. So we're setting off in the Telluride, and let's start making the comparisons to the CX-90. Now, again, this is not a perfect comparison because this is the X Pro version of the Telluride, which is like their kind of like off-road package. So it'd be best if it was like a CX-90 Meridian, which I don't even know if they're going to make that. That would be cool if they made a CX-90 Meridian, but I don't know if that's in the pipeline for Mazda or not. What I will say first and foremost is I feel like the theme with these is quite different interior wise. Like, again, the Mazda is going for like your sport luxury theme, whereas this, it seems like it's going for more of the off-roader theme. Oh man, this is bad. So right off the bat, the first thing that you notice is the powertrain, to be honest. It's the first thing you notice. It's not like this is a bad powertrain, but like I feel like Mazda's changed the game with that new inline six. And again, that's not the most powerful version. I will be reviewing the most powerful version soon, but yeah, that turbocharged inline six, it really is a game changer, and it's more economical than everything in the segment. Like everything in the segment is right around like low 20s for the average MPG, whereas this, or the Mazda rather, is like mid. So it's more economical. Is that person gonna run a red light? They're totally gonna run a red light. Okay, maybe they're not. Okay, I'm getting this on GoPro. Okay, I was gonna say, they kept rolling forward like they were ready to just blast right through that red light. Some people. But I will say, with these beefier tires, it does help out with the when you go over bumps and everything, because you've got more compression from the sidewall of the tire. But I'm sure if you added smaller wheels and beefier tires, the Mazda would be pretty similar, because the suspension on that feels good. I will say though, I've noticed that the suspension on this is kind of tuned more to the floaty side, so it doesn't handle as well as the Mazda, but that does mean that the ride quality, like over bumps, everything is a little bit smoother with it. There's like too many drive modes in this, so I'm not even going to be able to. Let's just punch it. Oh my gosh, yeah, it's not bad, but like, man, that Mazda powertrain, I'm like lusting after it now. So to sum things up, I think that there's frankly two different buyers for these vehicles. Like, this is like, you want a Range Rover, but like you don't want to pay Range Rover price, right? Whereas with the Mazda, you can't say the same thing, because its powertrain is as powerful and I would say as desirable as the powertrains you get in a lot of luxury cars. And then it also has like a lot of, like, this has a lot of the luxury car like looks and amenities, but then it just doesn't have the powertrain. So let me know which one you'd pick. That would be a very, like, honestly, a pretty tough choice. But yeah, I will say, like, Mazda's, again, they've stepped things up, and it's a real, that CX-90, especially the powertrain, it's a real game changer. But let me know which one you choose.